It's the greatest night in iRacing, Sunday night, with the No Limit Sprint Cars presented by SimRap Market. I'm Bruce Klingen, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by our pit reporter down in the infield, actually, not in the booth, and that is Christian McCarthy. Christian McCarthy, I think, has a quick roundup on qualifying before we get going. Christian, what do you got down there?
Hi, Bruce. Yeah, I'm down here. I'm actually down between turns one and two. Um, and I'm looking at the track. The track is looking really great. The track crew has done a great job prepping the track here. Nice and tacky, great for these drivers to get out here and race on. And I've been going through looking at the qualifying lineup from the pill draw. And after talking to the crews tonight, there's been two themes: guys talking about opportunity and guys talking patience. And we've got guys like Mason Hannigan, Zach James, Jack Young, James Newton, Richard Overmeyer, Chris Lynn, guys who missed it a little bit in week one. These guys, they're preaching opportunity. They're going to go out in the top 10 here for the pill draw and for qualifying. They have an opportunity to put their car up front. Guys like Kenny Hoffman, Colby Araki, Brandon Garman, Ernie Williams, Vinny Sansone, Trevor Warrior, these guys are deep in the qualifying order, and they're going to have to put together some awfully good laps. And their crews, they're preaching patience. They're going to have to come up through the field. They're going to have to make passes all night long on this little bull ring of a track, and they're going to need to have patience going through traffic. So it'll be very interesting to see which of those strategies pays off tonight: opportunity or patience. Back to you, Bruce.
Yeah, opportunity or patience. Those are the two things to think about here going into night one or night two here at Lincoln. Cars are out on the track running a little bit of hot laps, and we'll come back in just a few minutes with our single car qualifying. Here we are getting ready to go into Red Wagon Customs single car qualifying here. Single car qualifying, kind of an unusual thing in iRacing, does not happen a ton, but we do it here at No Limit. Single car qualifying about ready to hit the track here. Our first car onto the track tonight will be Larry Moody. Larry Moody driving the number 73 Scott Thomason Racing entry from St. Louis, Missouri. He is a longtime NARC participant. Coming around for lap number 1. Larry Moody with a 13:77 on lap number 1. I'm not sure why the scoring time's a little off there. Lap number 2, a 13:74. No better. Next on track, driving the number 7 Kenny Hoffman Racing vehicle from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, it's Connor Dudek. Connor taking the green flag for lap number 1 here. Choosing that line kind of right in the middle of the track. Sliding all the way up to the wall. Lap 1 going to be a 13:54. Good enough for provisionally first place here. Lap number 2 kind of getting all the way up into the cushion. 13:77, that 13:54 will be what he keeps. Our next car out on track going to be the number 23 out of Pittsburgh, Indiana, driving for Black Diamond Motorsports. It's Mason Hannigan. Mason all the way up to the cushion. Much different line than Connor. Lap 1, a 13:62. Not quite enough for Connor, but his second lap so far this evening been a little bit slower. See what Mason's got. Comes around for lap number 2. 13:47. That's going to be your provisional pole. Mason Hannigan up to P1 now. Next on track, driving the number 3 Team SSR Elite from Breeksland, Arizona. It is, actually he's from Arkansas, not Arizona. It is Zach Janes. He's driving the Sonentag Special, still covering for Jake while Jake's out here. Zach's first lap. Come in at a 13:60. Gets up in the wall a little bit for lap 2. Is probably not going to be any better. And lap 2, definitely not any better there. So Zach Janes provisionally pulling into that number 3 spot. Next on the racetrack from Thomasville, Pennsylvania, driving the Brent Mark Sim Sports number 10, it's Jack Young. Young takes the green flag, going all the way up there to the cushion. And kind of into the middle around turns 3 and 4, comes down to the white flag. His first lap's going to be a 13:53. Good enough for second. Let's see if he can pick it up on lap number 2. Right into the middle of the track. Back around to take the checkered flag. Young's second lap going to be a 13:60. He'll take that. That's going to put him in P2. Hannigan, Young, Dudek, Janes, and Moody in the top 5 here. Next out on track, driving the number 16 Christensen Racing vehicle from San Antonio, Texas, Jeremy Christensen. Christensen getting down all the way to the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Trying something totally different from everybody else at the moment. Down for lap number 1, Christensen a 13:70. Good enough for 5th at the moment. lap number 2, going to be a 13:64. Still good enough for 5th. Improvement in time, not improvement in position. Next out there, driving the number 08, School of Sim Racing from Mountain Home, Idaho, James Newton. Taking the green flag, he runs that slider line in 1 and 2, something we haven't seen quite yet. Entering the right, in the middle in 3 and 4. Pushing all the way up to the marbles on the exit. Lap number 1 for Newton, going to be a 13:75, good enough to slot him into 7th. So we'll come around and pick it up on lap number 2 here. Lap number 2, a 13:85, cannot make an improvement. I'm going to make a little bit of a microphone change here and see if we can't improve. I know we're only mono on my microphone right now, and we're going to try to fix that here. Next car out on track is going to be the number 2925 Enterprise out of Bloomington, Indiana. It's Steven Stewart. Stewart takes the green flag here. First lap for Steven Stewart, a 13:62. That's going to put him up in 5th. Going to take a run at that second lap. Not going to improve, 13:79 on that second lap. Next out on the track from Bradford, Pennsylvania, driving the Obermeyer Racing number 97, it's Richard Obermeyer. Richard comes around for his first lap, a 14:40, good enough to slot him in for 9th here. And that second lap, you can hear not quite as hard on the throttle as some of the others. 14:10 picks it up a little bit, but still good enough for 9th place. Next out on track, driving the number 032 Brent Mark Simsport entry from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, it's Chris Lynn. Chris all the way up into the fluff in 3 and 4. Chris running the very top side of the track, gets a little loose, cuts it back down. First lap's going to come back a 13:980. Christopher Lynn in the 9th place. Let's see if he can pick it up on lap 2. You can already see the track getting a little more difficult. We've got some faster cars coming out later. They may have their hands full. 13:85 for lap 2 is not going to improve his position. Keep him in 9th. Next up, I got the number 28 Black Day Motorsports entry from Iowa City, Iowa. It's Reese Reimers. Lap number 1 for Reimers, a 13:60 all the way up to 4th. He looks really smooth on lap number 2. Does he have anything more for it? 13:73, not going to be any faster. Next up on track, we have driving the number 27 Scott Thomason Racing Sprint Car here from Jefferson City, Missouri. It's Chad Griggs. Griggs takes the green flag, running that high line. Everybody's pretty much abandoned the bottom at this point. Coming around for his first lap. Griggs up to 8th with a 13.74. Let's see if he can pick it up on lap number 2. Not a single driver yet has picked up time on lap number 2 to gain a position. And there it is. Asking you shall receive. 13.54 for Chad Griggs. Going to put him all the way up to 4th. Next on track, driving the number 14 from Moline, New York. It's Josh Whiteman. Lap number 1 for Whiteman, a 13.80 puts him in 11th position. Lap number 2, he's entering way lower than Griggs here. A much different line than the last few drivers have taken. That's going to be a 13.54 for Whiteman. That's going to put him up in the 4th position. That is 3 drivers that have run a 13.54. Whiteman, Dudek, and Griggs all have run that 13.54. Next up on track here, Brent Hagan taking the green flag, number 95, Hagan Brothers Racing. Vehicle from Northwood, Iowa. Hagan's first lap, a 13.80. Now we got guys starting to pick up on that second lap, building a little momentum. A little tap of the wall there. That is going to disqualify his scoring for lap 2. Per the no limit rules, you can't make any contact with the wall on your qualifying lap. That's going to slot Hagan in at 12th. Next up on track, driving the 00 for Team SSR Elite. Out of Sacramento, California, Justin Sherman. Sherman, an interesting kind of cut down in 3 and 4 there for lap number 1. Lap number 1, a 13.60, spots him in at 6th spot. Let's see if we can get a little bit of improvement here in lap number 2. Lap number 2, a 13.74. Not going to be an improvement for Justin Sherman. He's going to spot in at 6th here provisionally. Next on track, driving the number 32 SSR Elite from Machias, New York, it's Josh Borowski. Josh up to the top. See what he can do coming around for lap number 1 here. He runs a very similar line to Justin Sherman there. Teammates maybe sharing a little information. 13.97, good enough for 15th in lap number 1. And for lap number 2, no improvement. 14.09 keeps him in that provisional 15th. Next up, driving the 53 SSR house car. This is the house driver for this week. It's Jeremy Weigel from Fayetteville, Pennsylvania. This will be Jeremy's only appearance in No Limit this season. Just running the house car, and that's it. Lap number 1 for Jeremy. Going to be a 13.54, good enough for 3rd quick. Hot lap from Jeremy Weigel here. He runs a different line in 3 and 4 here for 2nd lap. Jeremy's second lap of 13:48 moves him up to second quick. Jeremy Weigel putting himself up on the front row here. Next up, driving the number 6 from Bella Vista, Arizona, the 6 Watts Motorsports entry, it's Mike Doc Watson. Watson takes the green flag here. He's going to run right in that fluff at the top of the racetrack. Again in the fluff in 3 and 4. Comes around for lap number 1 here, 13:77. We'll put him in 14th. A little squirrely in 1 and 2 there. Let's see if that takes too much speed off. Around 3 and 4. To the checkered, Doc Watson, 14 even on lap number 2. No improvement. Next up, driving the 187 from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, the Inferno Motorsports entry, it's Rick Main. Main's lap number 1 at 13:71, slots him in at 12th. Nose happy there, coming off of 1 and 2. Coming around for the checker, Rick Main. It's in a 13:76, not any better for lap 2. It's going to slot him in 12th. Next out, driving the number 18, the SSR Elite entry from Jacksonville, Illinois, it's Brandon Garman. Around to take the green flag. Going right to the top. That seems to be where the speed is at the moment. It's a little lower entry. Misses that bump on the exit of 2 that's starting to form. Let's see if that's good for him. He goes right down to the bottom on exit. Lap number 1. 13:82 slots him into 17th. Lap number 2 looks a little bit slower in 1 and 2. We'll see how it works out. At the end, lap number 2 for Garmin, a 13:82 as well. Both laps exactly the same there. Next out, from Clovis, California, driven the 0FX Motorsports entry, the number 30, it's Colby Rocky. Quite a showing last week for Colby. Doesn't run a lot of NARC, but was an invite to this season. We're super happy to have him. Colby comes around for lap number 1. That first lap going to be 13:62, good enough for 10th. Run a little bit different line for his second lap here. We'll see where it slots him. 13:89 for lap number 2, no better. Next up, driving the number 5 SSR Elite entry from Arcade, New York, it's Zach Miller. Miller takes the green, he'll come around for his first lap here. First lap, in at a 13:65, puts him 13th on the grid. On that second lap, again trying to run that a little bit lower exit in 1 and 2. Ooh, gets a little squirrely in 3 and 4 there. His second lap going to be a 13:70, no better. That's going to slot him at 13th. Next up, from Allentown, Pennsylvania, driving the Kenny Hoffman Racing number 1. It's Kenny Hoffman himself. Kenny's super familiar with School of Sim Racing and the crew around here. Used to be a member of the team here. Used to race for School of Sim Racing. Clock that first lap in at 13:60 for 7th position at the moment. Track really starting to slow down. I think it's going to be really hard to get a fast lap at this point. Lap number 2 for Hoffman, going to be 13:48 up to P2. Great little second lap from Kenny Hoffman. Next up, driving the number 6, Scott Thomason Racing entry from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It is Scott Tomlinson himself. Scott looks a little loose in the middle of the corner there. First lap for Scott coming in at a 14:1. That's going to slot him into 23rd at the moment. So he can pick it up on lap number 2. That one a little loose on exit. We'll see. 14:09 for lap number 2. Better, but not enough to improve position. Next up, driving the number 518 Midwest Sim Sports entry from Duanesburg, New York. It's Joseph Grandy. Grandy coming around for lap number 1, a 13:79. Good enough for 19th spot at the moment. Lap number 2, he's going to run a little bit lower. More stable lap, but is it faster? A 13:97, not good enough to improve. Next on track from St. Louis, Missouri. He's a former NARC champion. Driving the Ironman Motorsports number 80, it's Vinny Sansone. Lap 1 for Sansone, a 13:67, good enough for 15th position. Let's see if he can improve here on lap number 2. Lap number 2, a 13:88, no improvement. That will leave us our final qualifier of the night, drawing the last pill. From Reading, Pennsylvania, in the Black Diamond Motorsports number 90, it's Trevor Royer. Oh, Trevor up into the wall. He's over end. That is not going to get him the lap he was looking for. That's going to finish out qualifying, and that's going to put Mason Hannigan on the pole. Or maybe not. Looks like Trevor Royer is going to come back out, give it another shot. I think he's going to have one lap maybe here. First lap for Royer, a 13:63, and that's going to be his only chance at time. That's going to slot him in 13th. So no change at the top of the board. Mason Hannigan, Kenny Hoffman, Jeremy Weigel, Jack Young, and Connor Dudak round out your top 5 positions here from Red Wagon Customs qualifying. All right, that wraps up qualifying. So we got Mason Hannigan and Kenny Hoffman with really great qualifying runs, kind of on the rebound from last week. Big shout out, your top Division 3 qualifier out of that, Reese Reimers, pulling it in with a 1360. He's one of those 3 drivers that ran 1360. He's going to start 9th from qualifying here. Yeah, Heat Race 1 grid going to be on the back of row number 4 here. Josh Borowski in the 32 car from SSR Elite. In row number 3, we're going to have Mason Hannigan and Joseph Grandy. In row number 2, we'll have Connor Dudak from Kenny Hoffman Racing and Reese Reimers from Black Dog Motorsports. And on the front row for this heat race, we will have Trevor Royer with Black Diamond Motorsports and Rick Main with Inferno Motorsports. That's going to be your heat race number 1 lineup here. Ten laps the distance. A little bit different format here than others. We take 2 cars to the dash unless the fast qualifier here, which will be Mason Hannigan. If he can win this heat race, he locks out his one and only spot in the dash. Otherwise, it's the winner and the fastest qualifier transferring. Main and Royer out on row number 1. Dudek and Reimers in row number 2. Ten laps. And we're green. Main going to get out to that early start. Royer right on his tail tank. Dudek right on his tail tank, all up top. It'll be a hard race to pass in, it looks like. Almost 3 wide there coming to the backstretch. Dudek running the inside. He's going to try and move on Royer. Nothing happening. Hannigan running the way inside. He's got to move on Dudek here. Hannigan's going to clear Dudek coming off of turn number 4 with the slider. Hannigan into your 3rd spot. Royer still trying to run down Mains. Hannigan stays down on the bottom. Six laps to go. Main, Royer. Now Weigel. Now Dudek's coming back on Hannigan. A little bit of a race back there for 3rd. Hannigan just has to transfer to get into that dash spot. Everybody else wants in, they got to win. Be careful here, Joseph Grandy's putting his name in the mix here for the top 4. Hannigan throws a deep slider on Connor Dudek all the way up to the top. Dudek cuts down underneath him there. Side by side on the front stretch, Dudek clears him going into 1. Hannigan a little bump into the wall. 3 laps to go. Dudek on the wall. Hannigan running the middle. Hannigan's got nothing going. Hannigan all the way down to the bottom trying to build a little bit of momentum. Just cannot make the pass. Hannigan side by side on the exit. Dudek's got the momentum. White flag, 1 more lap here. Rick Main, Trevor Royer up front. Royer's going to make a move for the win. Main cuts him back down. It's going to go Main, Royer, Dudek, Hannigan, Grandy. Rick Main and Mason Hannigan will be your 2 transfers out of that one. Sim Racing Heat Race number 2. Starting on that last row, Scott Thomason, number 6 Scott Thomason Racing Machine. In row number 3, we've got Brent Hagen in the 95 Hagen Brothers vehicle. Kenny Hoffman in the number 1 Kenny Hoffman Racing Machine. Row number 2, Josh Whiteman driving for Scott Thomason Racing in the 14, and Zach James driving the Sonatang Special, number 3 for SSR Elite. And on the front row, Jeremy Christensen in the number 16 Christensen Racing entry, and Larry Moody in the number 73 Scott Thomason Racing entry. Green flag's out here. Moody gets off. Pretty good jump there. He's going to stay right in the middle to the top. We already got a car up in the wall. Not quite who that was. Was that White? Christensen? I can't tell. We'll see here in a second. Moody's going to keep that lead. Hoffman all the way down to the bottom. Hoffman making a move on Janes here. Former teammates. Hoffman now kind of around Janes, but Janes still got that momentum on the top. Moody almost holding him up a little bit. We got Josh Whiteman now in the mix. Top 4, throw a blanket over him going into turns 3. Hoffman's going to make a move for the lead, but Moody holds him off. They got that momentum on the exit of 4. Bottom of the track is just not there. Hoffman's going to slide up in front of Moody. Moody's going to cut down underneath him. He's going to have the spot back going into 3 and 4. Larry Moody back to the lead. Now 4 wide, throw an even smaller blanket over him. Janes on the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to slide up about halfway. Can't quite make it happen. Moody still holding on to the lead. Hoffman with the big slider. Moody cutting under. Whiteman all the way on the bottom of the track. Janes back up top. Moody kind of now stuck in the middle. Hoffman barely gets around him on the exit of 2. Janes is going to follow. Moody kind of trapped down on the bottom. He's got nowhere to go. Gets a little loose. Whiteman stuck behind him. Whiteman goes back to the top. Now it's Hoffman, Janes, Moody, Whiteman making a move. Whiteman's going to have 3rd spot coming out of number 2. Janes makes the cut down to the bottom, but he can't quite make anything happen. Hoffman goes to the bottom in 1 and 2 now. Janes and Hoffman duking it out. Hoffman wins this race. He locks out the dash. Meaning no one else transfers to the dash. Janes all the way up on the rim. Only way to go to the dash at this point is to win it. He has to beat Hoffman. White flag's out. Hoffman and Janes almost touch wheels. Janes into the wall. Whiteman almost collects him. Going to have Hoffman, Janes, Whiteman, Moody. Hoffman's going to be the only transfer there. Good run by Hoffman. Let's take it down to Christian. He's down on pit road. He's been looking at the track, talking to some drivers. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, Bruce, I'm down here. I'm over close to turn 1. I'm looking. The track is really starting to slick off here on the entry of 1 and through the center. Look for drivers to really get down next to that inside wall or really get up on the cushion of that outside wall in order to make moves. And I think that deep slider is really starting to come in to be able to make passes. Back up to you in the booth.
Yeah, the slider is definitely starting to come in. Heat race number 2 pulls off. We're having a little bit of trouble with timing and scoring here, but we'll see if we can get a grid. Yeah, there we go. On that 4th row, it's going to be Richard Obermeyer in the number 97 Obermeyer Racing entry. In row number 3, Brandon Garman in the number 18 SSR Elite entry with teammate Jeremy Weigel in the SSR Elite SSR House Car entry on his inside. Row number 2 is going to be Chad Griggs in the 27 Scott Thomason entry and Colby Araki in the 0FX number 30. And on the front row, we've got Zachary Miller in the SSR Elite number 5 and James Newton in the Newton Racing number 8. 10 laps the distance. Let's see if we can get timing and scoring to actually do what we wanted here tonight. And green flag's out. Newton not off to as good a lead as the other guys. Newton all the way down to the bottom. Zach Miller up top. Rocky kind of running that middle. Miller stays to the top. Newton kind of running that middle. Rocky's going to make a move on the bottom on Newton. Newton up in front of the 5 car. Newton's into the wall. Oh! It'll be Rocky, Miller, Griggs now up front. You definitely see that bump on the exit of 2 really starting to come into play here as drivers are getting up into it. You can see that front end really starting to get light on the car. Rocky pulling out to a big lead. Jeremy Weigel running the bottom. He's making a move on Griggs for 4th now. Miller can't seem to close on a Rocky. Griggs can't seem to do anything with Miller. Jeremy Weigel, the only car seeming to be a little bit racy at the moment. He's going to move to the top side of the track. He's going to now cut down to the inside a little bit. Nope, back to the cushion in 1 and 2. Griggs down on the bottom. Jeremy's going to take a little bit of that momentum into 3 and 4. See if he's got something on the exit of 4. Not quite. Really tough track to pass right now. Really tough track to pass. Weigel giving it his best. 5 laps to go. Rocky, Miller, Griggs, Weigel, Garman, Obermeyer, Newton out of the race. Now almost as if the bottom side of the track's getting faster. Griggs kind of running that middle bottom line. Weigel gets tight on the exit of 3. Now there's space between every car on track. 3 to go. Rocky's still out front with a sizable lead. Miller still stuck to the top of the track. 2 laps to go. Rocky, Miller, Griggs, Weigel. 4 transfers. White flags out. Colby Araki comes out of turn number 4. Heat race number 3. Zach Miller, Chad Griggs, Jeremy Weigel, your 4 transfers, followed by Garman and Obermeyer. Newton does not make the finish. So Rocky and Weigel will be your 2 transfers out of that event. Christian, see anything interesting going on down there?
Yes, Bruce. I'm down here by the Newton machine, and we've got guys over here from Hoffman Racing, guys over from SSR Elite. They're working hard to get this car put back together to get to that Consolation race, that last chance Consolation. It looks like they'll probably be able to give up a lot of work to get done here. Back up to you.
All right, we'll see if he can make it into the Consolation. He's going to have a long way to go once he gets there, and there will probably be some fast cars. We'll see what he can do. All right, here's your lineup for SSR Heat Race number 4. In row 3, we've got Chris Lynn in the Brent Marks Sim Sports number 32 and Jack Young in the Brent Marks Sim Sports number 10. In row number 2, we've got Justin Sherman driving the 00 for SSR Elite and Steven Stewart in the number 29-25 Enterprise machine. And on the front row, Driving the number 80, Ironman Motorsports. Entry, it's Vinny Sansone. And driving the number 6 Watts Motorsports, it's Mike Doc Watson. Again, 10 laps. Watson and Sansone lead them into 3. Watson gets a good jump. Steven Stewart even going to get around Sansone. Stewart's going to make her move all the way to the lead. Put the number 29 car in P1 as we come around to finish lap number 1. But watch out, Vinny Sansone's got a heck of a run on the top. Followed by Sherman, followed by Young. Sansone is getting drafted by Justin Sherman, trying to build some momentum to get around Stewart. Stewart might be a sitting duck on the bottom. Those two guys know how to run the top of the track. No question about it. Stewart, Sansone, Sherman. Jack Young now down on the bottom of the track. He's trying to make something work. Sansone going to pull around Stewart on the exit of 2. Sherman right on his tail tank. Sherman now getting ready to clear Stewart. Stewart kind of a sitting duck down on the bottom right now. Stewart stays down on the bottom. Sansone gets around him. Now Stewart moves up to the top of the track. Young starting to close in on his tail tank. 5 laps to go. Sherman almost seeming faster than Sansone, but no way to make a move. Sherman and Sansone running the top right behind each other, almost like they're drafted. You can see they're running very different approaches into the turn. Justin's driving a little deeper. Vinny's driving a little shallower. He's driving for the exit. Sherman down to the bottom of the track makes the deep slider up on Sansone, leaves him a lane. Drag race down to 2 laps to go. Sansone keeps the lead. Sherman have enough time to get back to his tail tank, maybe one more move. Sherman closes, white flag out. Sansone, Sherman, Young now, then Stewart. Sherman gets a little bit of a run. He's right on the tail tank of Sansone. Throws it in on the bottom. Deep slider all the way up to the top. Sansone comes around at the line. It looks like Sansone. It is Sansone, Sherman, Christopher Lynn, Steven Stewart, Mike Watson, and Jack Young with a little bit of collision and calamity there at the end for him. All right. That ends our heat races. But you want to know a little bit more about sprint cars? Let's see if we can learn a little bit about sprint cars. Christian McCarthy takes us on a run through what a wing on a sprint car is all about.
Welcome to Tech Tips, presented by the School of SimRacing.net. At Tech Tips, we take a behind-the-scenes look at the cars and tracks of the NARC No Limit series, presented by SimRapMarket.com. In this segment, we are looking at the most distinguishing features of dirt sprint cars, their wings. Sprint cars have a lot of power and not much weight. Every part of the car's aerodynamics is purposely built to go fast and turn left. But to be fast, drivers need to solve 2 basic problems: efficiently turning the corner and the lack of forward bite off the corners, especially when the track is dry and slick. Drivers can adjust the handling characteristics of the car by tuning the car aerodynamics, either by changing the angle of the wings or by changing their position. The nose wing is positioned over the front wheels of the car, and its primary purpose is to generate downforce to keep the front wheels on the ground and efficiently navigate the corners. Drivers can tune the amount of front downforce by increasing or decreasing the angle of the front wing. More front wing, more front downforce. The top wing sits centered above the cockpit. Because of its large surface area, most of the car's downforce is generated by this aerodynamic feature. Drivers can tune the angle of the top wing too. However, because of its size, Steeper wing angles mean greater amounts of drag and an overall reduction in speed. Because the nose wing directs air upward toward the top wing, the overall balance and total downforce produced is dependent on how both wings work together. Too much nose wing versus top wing reduces grip and forward bite because air is deflected over the car. Too much top wing versus nose wing, and that lifts the front wheels, reducing cornering efficiency. To maximize aerodynamic efficiency, drivers need to tune the wing angles to match each track on the schedule. While on the track, drivers cannot adjust the angles of the wings, but can adjust the position of the top wing relative to the cockpit. Drivers can choose from 10 different wing positions, front to back, by using a hydraulic lever mounted in the cockpit. By adjusting the position of the wing, drivers can move the car's center of mass forward or backward. This adjustment can change the handling characteristics of the car mid-race, a key factor when searching for more forward bite on a dry slick track. Since sprint cars turn left, the wing side panels have a unique up-down shape, and it is this shape that is critical to achieving maximum performance when cornering. As the car turns, the rear wheels kick out and the car enters yaw. As the car yaws, the more the side panels are exposed to oncoming air. The up-down configuration of the side panels acts as two huge sails, the downward panel directing air over the car, while the upward panel catches the air in a vortex, pushing down on the top wing and generating huge levels of downforce. However, too much yaw and the side panels will act as parachutes, slowing the car in the corners. Finding the optimal angle is a delicate balance of speed, precision, and consistency. But get it just right, and you might find yourself in no limit victory lane. This has been Tech Tips presented by the School of SimRacing.net.
All right, a little SSR tech tip. We love the guys at SSR. They're a great community and a good opportunity to learn something every week about these awesome vehicles out on the track. Christian, down in the pits, I think got a little info before we start our consolation race about a little bit of damage that guys sustained in the heat races.
Yes, that's right, Bruce. I'm down here. I'm going to tell you both crews for Jack Young and James Newton, they're going to have to take those guys out from Hoffman Racing and SSR Elite Sim Racing for dinner tomorrow night because those guys worked a miracle and got them both out onto the grid here for the LCQ. Looking at the track, it's super slicked off. These guys are going to have to put that tech tip into practice. They're going to have to make adjustments to the wind, help with the downforce on these cars to make it through the corners with the track slicking off. It's going to be tough to pass. It's going to be an exciting race. Back up to you, Bruce.
All right, thanks, Christian. Yeah, it's always good, something about sprint car racing. Other teams getting down there and helping guys out if you're missing a part or if you just need an extra hand. It's nothing to see that work area filled with guys from all over, or even just random people that are like, here, let me hold that let me hold that impact gun for you. Alrighty. Here we go with the NARC, National Auto Racing Club Consolation Race. Starting all the way back in row number 6 with some of that damage Christian was talking about. It's going to be James Newton in the Newton Racing number 8. Row number 5 is going to be Jeremy Christensen in the Christensen Racing number 16 entry, and Josh Borowski in the number 32 SSR Elite entry. Row number 4, another one of those race cars that got fixed. Jack Young in the number 10 Brent Marks Sim Sports entry. Richard Obermeyer in the Obermeyer Racing number 97. Row number 3 in the Hagen Brothers number 95, Brent Hagen. And in the Black Dog Motorsports number 28, Reese Reimers. Row number 2 in the number 6 Watts Motorsports entry, it's Mike Watson. In the number 18 SSR Elite entry, it's Brandon Garman. And on the front row, in the 06 Scott Thomason Racing entry, it's Scott Thomason. And on the pole, in the 518 Midwest Sim Sports entry, it is Joseph Grandy. 12 laps the distance here. Grandy off to an early start. He's going to jump out pretty big on Garmin. Scott Thomason there holding up in third. A little bit of carnage in the back of the pack. Still a race up front. Yellow flag. Caution going to come out. Looks like Borowski and Newton, maybe even Young involved in that back there. Let's see what we got. Right on the start, looks like Young gets up in the wall. Josh just gets turned a little bit, and some carnage from that initial race. It looks like Borowski's going to make it back out onto the grid, though. So we'll see. We'll see if he can make up any spots. 8 cars should make it out of this Consolation. Last week's race, a huge race for the transfer spot here. Guys were duking it out all the way to the finish line, came down to just fractions of a second. Similar racing front to back here in the Consolation here. So far, Grandy out front, then Garmin, Thomason, Reimers, Watson. Grandy and Garmin lead them into 3. Grandy lets it eat. Grandy right to the top of the track. Garmin right through the middle, a little bit slick there. Kind of hard to get that exit speed in that slick area. Garmin's going to the bottom in 3 and 4. Car gets a little loose on exit. Thomason right back on his bumper. Grandy's getting out to a big lead up top. Got a single file here. Watson moving backwards just a little bit. Race for the transfer spot. It'll be between Jeremy Christensen and Josh Borowski. Christensen had a great run last week. Borowski didn't make the show last week. He's going to be eager to give it a shot and try to make the show this week. Back up front, Thomason right back to the tail tank of Garmin. Thomason's going to try to make a move. They both go down to the bottom. No action there. Reese Reimers back to the top of the racetrack. He's going to start closing in. Sometimes it seems like the only battle is for the transfer in a Consolation race, but that's not correct. Every one of these cars that they can pass now is a car they don't have to pass later. Finishing as high up as you can here will only improve your chances later in the night. Thomason and Garmin running the bottom of the track. Now Watson down to the bottom of the track. Grandy not even looking at the bottom. He's all the way up top. He's staying there. He's not going anywhere. Just cheating the entry in 3 and 4. Kind of cutting back down the track. White flags out. Around turn number 4, Joseph Grandy's going to win your National Auto Racing Club Consolation. Followed by Garmin, Thomas, Reimers, Watson, Jeremy Christensen, Josh Borowski in 7th, and Brent Hagan in 8th. Those are going to be your transfers. All right, next up, we're going to have our Devon Mains design dash, but Christian, I think you're down there with the draw for the dash to see who's going to start where.
Yeah, that's right, Bruce. I'm down here with our Devon Mains design dash drivers. We've got 7 keys down here lying on the ground in front of the drivers. So I'm going to have each of the drivers here come over and pick up a tee. All right, guys, pick up one of your t-shirts and show us the numbers on the back. All right. It looks like Mason Hannigan has drawn the pole here. We've got Mason Hannigan on pole. We've got Justin Sherman here on outside pole. Kenny Hoffman will start 3rd. Colby Araki will start 4th. Rick Main will start 5th. We've got Vinny Sansone starting sixth, and scratch on the field will be our house driver, SSR house driver, Jeremy Weigel. So your order again is Hannigan, Sherman, Hoffman, Araki, Main, Sansone, and last will be Jeremy Weigel. And that's your Devon Mains dash lineup. Back up to you, Bruce.
Nice, an interesting little dash draw. Hannigan all the way up front. He got lucky with a good dash draw there, and Jeremy Weigel in the house car. Not racing a lot of sprint cars right now. He's been racing some IndyCar deals, so he's had some interesting stuff out there. So while we wait for these guys to get pulled out and ready to go for the dash, talk a little bit about School of Sim Racing. Since 2020, School of Sim Racing has been iRacing's go-to place to learn and grow your skills in an open-minded and laid-back environment. Through paid services like our insider programming, giving drivers setups and tip videos, to official races for each week, and masterclass style training offerings, which have prepared drivers to earn their iRacing Pro license, or community-centered learning opportunities that happen for free in our Discord community every day. Drivers have found SSR to be the most valuable resource on the service. Start your journey today at www.schoolofsimracing.net to become an insider, and join the SSR Discord to become the best on track that you can be. Alright, our dash drivers are on track. I think they're going to have one more pace lap. Hannigan, Sherman, Hoffman, Araki, Rick Main, Vinny Sansone, then Jeremy Weigel. Interesting to see what Jeremy Weigel does from the tail. He's an expert at slick tracks. He's an expert at being patient, being careful, but dashes, not the time to be patient or careful. Just 6 laps. Hannigan and Sherman. Hannigan off to an early lead. Hoffman using that bottom to get out to a lead. Sherman just drops back like a lead weight at the moment. Let's see if he can build some momentum back up on the top and come back. Here he comes. Back into third place. Lap 1. Hannigan still in the lead. Hoffman running that top on both ends of the track, along with Sherman. Sherman a little contact in the wall. He drops back to 4th, maybe even 5th. Now Hannigan down to the bottom at 3 and 4. Protecting from Hoffman. Hannigan now the bottom at 1 and 2. Hoffman up to the top. Hoffman into the wall. That top's getting tricky. Hannigan pulls out to a big lead at the moment. Hannigan gets in the wall. He loses the lead. He's going to go all the way back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th. Kenny Hoffman, your new leader. Hoffman's going to pull away, with Sherman being the huge benefactor from that, going all the way back to 2nd. Hannigan makes it back to 3rd. 2 laps to go. Hoffman down on the bottom. No safe place to be. That bottom will come out to bite you. The top will come out to bite you. Back to the top in 3 and 4. Justin Sherman, nothing for him out of 2. White flags out. One more lap for Hannigan and Sherman, or for Hoffman and Sherman. Sherman jumps the cushion into the wall hard. He's going to get passed. It's going to be Hoffman. Sherman ends up on his lid on the exit of 4. Let's see if we can get a finish order from race control here. While we do that, we'll pay a little attention to our sponsors. All right, I think that Christian McCartney's down there with the race director, and he may have a finishing order. We didn't get it on timing and scoring, so he may have a finishing order of that dash and maybe some more information for us to think about.
That's right, Bruce. Yeah, I talked to Ted York, our race director, and that finishing order was Kenny Hoffman finishing first, followed by Colby Araki and Mason Hannigan. Rick Main finished fourth, with Jeremy Weigel fifth, and Justin Sherman, like you were showing, ended up on his lid. He'll have finished sixth in that dash. Their crew's going to have to scramble here. Not a lot of time before we start to grid up here for this feature. Should be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, a great benefit to the Team SSR Elite guys is that that's a big team. Not only are there a few drivers running in the event this week, but they've got a big team sitting on the sidelines too. Some NASCAR style guys, some asphalt guys, some big block modified and late model drivers that aren't necessarily running this series that are I'm sure going to be down there and help them get that car back together. All right. Well, as we wait for a little bit of track prep here, and we get the okay from race control to start pushing cars out onto the track, we'll be back to you guys in just a minute. All right, I think Christian's got a little bit more down there. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, that's right, Bruce. I'm down here. At the beginning of the night, we talked about two things. We talked about opportunity and patience. And throughout the night, we've seen that guys like Kenny Hoffman, Justin Sherman, and Mason Hannigan have really taken a hold of that opportunity. We saw Reese Reimers also take opportunity in his qualifying with a good run. But now, I think it really comes down to patience. The track has really slept off throughout 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and it's going to take a lot of patience to get around this track and get around through traffic, especially for those drivers coming up through the B main. Guys like Brendan Garman and Joseph Grandy, they're going to have to be patient working their way through traffic to get a good finish. Looking at drivers like Chad Griggs and Josh Whiteman starting mid-pack, they're going to have to show some patience getting up through here. As I walk through the pits, all the crew chiefs were telling their drivers, be patient. Back up to you, Bruce.
Yeah, I agree. Patience is going to be the key, especially, if you look at the points and the way the points work out. These Division 3 guys, they have a tough road ahead of them, and some of what you're going to need to see from them is really just being patient and working their way through the field and gaining position sometimes through attrition. Features have a lot of laps. A lot of things can happen. We never know what's going to happen, and you could have a car that's maybe not the car you think it is, still be able to get a good top 10 finish even out of a race, just through being patient and passing the guys who are pushing too hard, trying too much for that opportunity. All right, looks like they are starting to roll some cars out onto the racetrack and start to form that grid. Let's go back to Christian for a second. I mean, Christian, what's your pick here? Who do you think has this?
Well, Bruce, I really like the SSR house driver in Jeremy Weigel. I think he's a guy that can get up there and mix it up with these top drivers. I think he's my pick to win the race tonight. And for a dark horse, I'm looking down the grid at Joseph Grandy. I think he's a very talented driver. He's got to come up through the field, but I think he can make some noise here in this feature.
Yeah, I agree. Those two are probably pretty strong picks. I think the other person to look out for, and maybe my pick to win the race tonight, Colby Araki. He was really strong at USA, and I think he's going to be really strong tonight as well. I think my dark horse pick for the evening is probably Jeremy White. All right, let's talk about the grid. Maybe we're not going to talk about the grid, because that is not the grid. The beauties of running a dash, the grid is often very hard for us to put together. So we don't have a grid, but that's all right. You've been watching them all night. You know how they're going to line up. Well, Lincoln Speedway, welcome to the main event. Before you are the 24 cars and stars of the SimRap Market NARC No Limit Sprint Cars. They battled all night for the opportunity to give you the best show that sprint car racing has to offer. 30 laps, 24 drivers, only one comes out on top. Going to be Hoffman and Araki leading him to the green here. "35 laps. Hoffman takes him into turn one, goes right back down to the bottom. Araki on the top. A little bit unusual move, didn't expect that. Hannigan back down to the bottom as well. Rick Main kind of stuck in the middle of the track. Yellow flag. Let's see if we can't figure out what happened here. We've got to stop Steven Stewart. Looks like he was involved. Oh, looks like Stewart and Moody. Maybe Chris Lynn got a little bit of that all together. Bit of just calamity on the start. Tight racetrack, hard to get around. Unable to get a whole lap in. Hoffman, Araki, Hannigan, Rick Main, your top four. Jeremy Weigel in fifth. Be a single file restart this time. Looks like we're not going to go green here. Field's going to catch up to the pace car. Alright, pace car's off. We're going to go green this time. Hoffman, Araki. Hannigan, Main. Jeremy Weigel, Vinny Sanso. It's your top six. Coming to the green flag. Green flag's back out. Everybody kind of going to the bottom. Took that initial launch grip. Now it's a big line around the bottom. Hannigan gets tons of grip, pulls the front wheels off the ground, and he lets the front two get away. Rocky's into the wall, lets Hannigan catch back up to him. Hannigan's going to make a move on second now. Hannigan up to P2. Main almost pulls it, doesn't quite make it around. Rocky back to the top of the speedway. Hannigan now to the top of the speedway. Hannigan completely clear of Rocky. No battle there. Hannigan a little bit of a cut down. Kenny Hoffman now to a dominant lead. Almost a second out front. Rick Main making a move on Colby Rocky. He's got the bottom side of the racetrack. He may even have something for Mason Hannigan, a little loose on exit. But Rocky's going to make a move back again. Back at the top of the speedway. Hoffman, Hannigan, Main, Rocky. Main way down on the bottom. Back battling. It is a jumbled mess of race cars as the leader approaches. Start to see Kenny Hoffman, just a straightaway lead. These cars are all side by side here in the back. Josh Borowski nowhere to go. He makes a move on Stewart. Stewart cuts back underneath him. Stewart, Borowski, Lynn 3 wide on the exit of 2. Yellow flags back out. Justin Sherman on his lid. Let's see what happened there. Sherman running the top, it looks like. He had a little bit of contact from Dudek, but didn't look anything major. He ends up on his lid. Christian, you're down there with the car. Is Justin out? Justin all right down there?
Yeah, Justin's out of the car here, but man, a lot of damage. The top wing's all tore up, the front wing's missing. There's a shock just laying on the ground here. I'm betting that this car's done for the night. The crew are looking around. They've got their hands up in the air. I think he's done.
Tough break for Justin. Had power steering issues last week. Didn't get to even make a qualifying run, I don't think. So put on a good show tonight. Just that opportunity versus patience. Sometimes you got to be patient for the opportunity. Double file restarts this week, something new. This Invitational is a little bit of a test bed, not just from the broadcast and media side, but also from a race operations side. We're trying something different. Back of the field's catching up. They're way back. Hannigan on the outside, Hoffman on the inside. Hoffman has control of the field as they come back to the green. 26 laps to go. Hoffman and Iraqi down to the way bottom of the track. Hannigan kind of running the middle. Hannigan and Hoffman back to the top while Iraqi stays at the bottom in 3 and 4. Rick Main in the middle. 2 by 2 all the way back in the field. Hannigan starting to make a little bit of a run on Hoffman. Does he have something for him? He's got to build a little bit of momentum. Rocky moving to the middle of the track. Hoffman's got the bottom figured out. He starts to pull a little bit of a lead on Hannigan. Hannigan a little bit loose in the center of the corner. Hannigan in the wall a little bit on the bottom. It's not safe anywhere. The bottom is just as hard as the top. Rocky now starting to make a little bit of a move back. Rocky now around Mains. Trevor Royer digging on the top side. He's coming. Outside of the dash. The slow car looks like Watson. Slow on the bottom. Not getting a caution. Maybe we will get a caution. We'll get a caution. Caution for Mike Watson. Let's see what happened to him. Looks like he might have just gotten up into the wall a little bit. Let's see here. Oh no, a little bit of contact. A little bit of contact from... Oh, Chad Griggs got into him after... Looks like Thomason and Stewart, maybe. Or Thomason and Grandy up in front of them. Just nowhere to go. And then once that steering was broken, he just had nothing he could do. That caution for Watson, not a ton of attrition in this race, just a couple of cars. Just a couple of cars out. It does look like Larry Moody already back in the pits. Sherman back in the pits. Watson obviously back in the pits. A few cars trying to get a little bit of repairs as we go 1 to green. We do have a hot pit here in Narc No Limit, so those guys can take repairs as long as they make it out on the track before the green flag comes out. Hoffman and Hannigan playing a little bit of games up front. Hoffman dives down to the inside. He gets a great start as the green flag comes back out. Hannigan back to the top. Main to the top. Royer now down to the bottom. Royer looking to make a move on Rick Main. That's going to put him in the top 5 if he can make that happen. He can't quite pull it off. He's losing ground. Top of the track starting to come back in. Rocky sticking in the middle. Main kind of middle to top. Hannigan bottom. Slider in 1 and 2. Sorry, Hoffman slider 1 and 2. Hannigan bottom 1 and 2. Yellow flag out again. Looks like Josh Borowski. Oh, a little bit of contact in front of them. Thomason gets loose. Oh, Thomason gets loose, and Borowski just had nowhere to go. Steven Stewart keeps the car going. Borowski keeps the car going. Looks like everybody kept rolling. That Doc Watson's back out on the track. I didn't even notice him come out. Christian, anything going on down in the infield we should know about?
Yes, Bruce, they were able to get the right front shock repaired on that Doc Watson machine, and they were able to get him out just in the nick of time there in that last caution. They were able to get that shock back on. So, lucky break for him. He's back out there. Still a couple cars in here taking some repairs, though.
Sprint cars, pretty easy to work on in general. Relatively simple machines. 3 minutes, you can replace a whole front end on those cars. Tires in a minute or so. Gonna have a single file restart here. Hoffman out to a good lead here. Hannigan's going to go right down to the bottom. He's right underneath him. They're side by side on the exit of 2. Hoffman tucks in right behind him. He's almost had something for him. Hannigan's going to make a move on Hoffman. Slider all the way up to the wall. Hannigan, your new leader. Hoffman down to the bottom, slides all the way up to the top. Hannigan's got the run off of 2, but he can't quite make anything work. He's all the way down to the bottom with a slide job up to the cushion. Hoffman, nothing for him. Hoffman sticks to the top. Hannigan going to slide himself in 1 and 2 up to the middle of the track. New leader, Mason Hannigan, in the 22 Black Diamond machine. If we have a yellow, oh, how is this going to score out? Is Hannigan going to keep the lead, or is Hoffman going to get it back? Goes back to the last transponder loop, the last lap. Let's see what happened there. Same guys, man. They are beating and banging in the back of the pack. Hagen catches the worst into that. We've seen Christensen in a couple of those. We've seen Scott Thomason back there in a couple of those, I think it is. Just a lot of rough and tumble racing back in the back of the pack right now. Christian, what are you seeing? Anything for us to learn from the track here? What are you seeing down in the infield? Looks like we don't have Christian yet. Been having some microphone problems there. It's been plaguing us all night. We're gonna get through it. Oh wait, we might have Christian back here, but we're 1 to green. Christian, just a second. Do we have any interesting info coming down there?
Yep, we have a little bit of interesting information. These guys were able to come in, get the repairs, and they're going to tag on to the back of the field here, but going to be a little bit tough with a damaged car.
Yeah, not a lot of laps remaining though. Hannigan retains the lead. Hoffman, Rocky, Main, he's held on very well. Hannigan gets out. A really great start by Mason Hannigan. Down to the bottom of the track, he slides up to the middle. Hoffman all the way up to the top. Hannigan goes to the top in 3 and 4. Hoffman to the top in 3 and 4. Rick Main trying a little bit of a cut down. That may have hung him out to dry. Royer's going to get around him. Now Royer's in the battle. Throw a blanket over the top 4 cars. Hannigan, Hoffman, and Rocky Royer all have a chance to win. 13 laps to go. Hoffman in the wall. Hoffman and Rocky make contact. Now Hoffman's way off the pace down on the bottom of the track. Royer up to P2 now. Hannigan, Royer, Mains. Rocky's not out of it though. He's still there. Connor Dudek making a run. Mason Hannigan, his teammate Trevor Royer running him down. Trevor Royer that lap a 1/10 of a second faster. Lap traffic coming up. These single file restarts are going to bring lap traffic into the fold quicker. Doc Watson. Hannigan gets around him well. Watson goes to the bottom. Royer goes to the top. Royer reels in Hannigan even more. Now just a little over a 1/4 of a second gap between them. Yellow flag. Yellow flag again. Oh man, this race is getting good. I have no idea who was involved in all that, but let's see if we have a look. Oh, look like Zach Janes got up in the wall. That did not seem to be the cause of the caution, though. Not sure exactly what happened. It seems to still be on the track and running. I'm not sure. One lap to green. Hannigan, Royer, Rick Mains, Connor Dudek, Colby Araki now. Hoffman's still hanging back there. Hannigan off to an early lead. Royer left out a little bit. Royer sliding himself up to the top. Hannigan kind of stays in the middle. Hannigan goes back to the bottom. Royer up top. Royer looking stout up there, but is it fast enough? 8 laps to go. That slide line in 1 and 2. Avoiding the entry. Hannigan and Royer now side by side. Hannigan's going to slide up to the top. Royer's going to cut down underneath him. Not quite enough to make it work. Royer's going to slide Hannigan in 1 and 2. Royer into the wall. Hannigan's going to clear him. Hannigan back to the top. Royer and Hannigan now tail tank to nose. Rick Main able to get right up on him. Throw a blanket over the top 5. Connor Dudek, Colby Araki. Yellow flag again. this time? Maybe Zach James this time. Zach up running the top. Yep, he gets into the wall and goes over. Just a little bit of a Tommy tip over up there for Zach. Cautions breed cautions. What a race up front. Mason Hannigan, his teammate Trevor Royer, Rick Main really holding them off. Hannigan and Royer, some of the best in the business. Christian, anything down in the pits?
Yeah, Bruce. You were talking about Rick Main holding his own up there. We've got two other drivers that have really made a lot of headway here. Zach Miller and Joseph Grandy coming up from the Consolation race and sitting right outside and in the top 10. So excellent runs for these guys. The patience and the attrition paying off for these guys in a big way.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's attrition that got him there, to be honest with you. A lot of that attrition's happened much farther back in the field. I mean, the front runners are all still pretty much running. So good runs by those guys. Division 2, Grandy in a Division 1 slot, but he's got his work cut out for him. Coming to the green, Hannigan Royer, Rick Main, Connor Dudek, Colby Araki, your top 5. Green flag's out. Right foot down. Hannigan, Royer, both running that slider. Royer gave up his tip there. Now Hannigan kind of matching him. Royer right back to Hannigan's tail tank. 4 laps to go. Hannigan now starting to pull a little bit. Back that race for 3rd and 4th. 3 laps to go. That race for 3rd and 4th starting to get good. Rocky and Dudek now trying to push yellow flag again. We're going to have another restart opportunity at this. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here. Oh, Chad Griggs got in the back of, who is that, Scott Thomason. And these guys in the back of the pack, they have taken a beating tonight. Christian, looked like everybody drove away from that. Anybody make it down into the infield?
Yeah, Bruce. We've got Jeremy Christensen down here, and he's got a little bit of damage getting collected there in that little mess kind of thing. And bad luck tonight for Chad Griggs. Doing really well in the Division 2 points, but been involved in a few incidents tonight.
Yeah, Lincoln, a rough and tumble track. Smaller bull ring style track. It's just big enough to be fast and just small enough to be really hard to get around. Hannigan, Royer, Main again your top 3. As we come around to the green flag with 3 laps to go. Hannigan off to a really good start. Royer can't keep up with it. They both slide into 1 and 2. White flag for Mason Hannigan. One more time around. Royer's got one last shot. He slides up. Hannigan defends that exact same move. Royer is not going to have anything for Hannigan on the slider, but he goes down to the bottom. And Hannigan is going to win with Royer, Rick Main, Colby Rocky, Connor Dudek, Kenny Hoffman, Josh Whiteman, Vinny Sansone, Jeremy Weigel, and Zach Miller rounding out your top 10. Steven Stewart, Joseph Grandy, Scott Thomason, Josh Borowski, Chad Griggs to 15th, Brent Hagan, Chris Lynn, Christensen, Mike Watson, and Zach James your top 20. Brandon Garman in 21st, Reese Reimers in 22nd, Justin Sherman and Larry Moody in 23rd and 24th are the cars that did not finish the event. You need to bring them. Just wait for Christian to get down there into victory lane with those guys and see if we can't get a post-race interview. Christian, you down there with Mason?
Yeah, I'm down here with Mason. Excellent run, Mason, making it up here to first place and battling your teammate. Take me through those final laps from that last caution, battling Trevor there for the win.
Yeah, we were pretty good there. I don't know. I think he was a lot better than me in 3 and 4. Now that I watch it, I could see where he was definitely better than me. And I don't know. I haven't raced here in so long, so I forgot how it raced. And Kenny was running a weird line in 1 and 2, and I kind of adopted it later because I figured now it's got to be fast. So I just got the best of him early on that restart there because I knew I knew on a restart you're not going to have as much momentum there. So I just smoked her down through the bottom and slid up to the middle where I rolled under caution and see where the line was. So Kenny's fast right now, so you gotta capitalize on his mistakes. And I restarted that one restart when I was behind him right before I got the lead really good, and I think I almost cleared him off 2, and then I slid him down into 3. So good race to Kenny there, and good race to Trevor. And yeah, I love Lincoln, and it races really well. So
Great, yeah. Anybody you want to thank?
yeah, I can't thank Black Diamond, Motorsports, Trevor, all them guys, and can't thank these guys for letting me into this deal. And it's been really fun, and hopefully we can click off another one here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been great to have you here.
See if Christian can catch up with somebody else here. I think he's headed towards Trevor's car.
Yeah, I'm down here now with our runner-up driver, Trevor Royer. Take me through those final laps there, battling your teammate Mason. He was saying that he was able to capitalize on some of those restarts.
Yeah, the cautions at the end there definitely weren't doing me any favors. Throughout the whole race, pretty much, I felt like every time I was about to pass somebody, a yellow would come out, and I had to be stuck back behind him. But I got a little fortunate with Kenny and Colby getting into it there, and got to what was that, 4th, right? The perfect time for that to happen. So it got me up to 2nd, and felt like I was a little better than Mason. He was running a pretty good pace, but I feel like I was a little better than him off the corner. And man, the yellows definitely didn't do me any favors, but gave him one last shot there coming to the line. I wasn't sure what line he was going to run coming to the line. I thought it looked like he was about to slide himself because I was about to slide him. And then once he went up to the top, I was kind of stuck rolling the bottom line that I had committed to kind of running because I checked up and almost had him. Honestly, I was a little closer than I thought I was going to be, but yeah. Can't complain. I think I started 8th place. So yeah, overall, can't complain on 2nd place.
Yeah, definitely a great run, and place that's tough to pass. Getting up there, a lot of elbows up racing for sure. Anybody
Yeah,
you'd
definitely.
like to thank?
Yeah, my team, Black Diamond Motorsports, Ultimate Dirt TV, 19 Designs, Timster Track Simulators, NARC, and SSR for putting this No Limit deal on. Really enjoying it so far. It's only been 2 weeks, but um, enjoying all the content that's being posted on social media and following along. And I keep missing pill draw, but I swear one of these weeks I'm gonna make pill and not qualify dead last. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Trevor.
Yep, thank you.
All right, Christian running over trying to grab Rick Main here, our third place finisher. Christian, you got Rick.
Yeah, I'm down here with our third place driver, Rick Main. Heck of a race out there. A lot of cautions, a lot of restarts, having to be on your toes for that. A lot of elbows up racing. Take us through your race.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I had some good pace. Lincoln's one of my worst tracks. I mean, everything kind of went right for me tonight. The setup really works for me because I qualify so horrible. So with that invert, it really made all the difference to me. But yeah, and then I just kept missing the starts late. I got lucky, honestly, finishing where I did.
Well, that was one of our themes for tonight was opportunity, and you certainly capitalized on opportunity in your heat races to be able to start in the dash and then start up front, and to be able to keep your car up there and keep it out of trouble, keep that nose clean.
Yeah, I told these boys they were gonna regret putting me in, tier 2. I'm on my way up, baby.
Well, that's what we like to see. We like to see that good elbows up racing hard, and showing these Division One boys what's boss, right?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I love this format. It's a lot of fun. These guys put on a good race.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, all my boys at Inferno. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. Especially Justin Stoles. He put in a lot of work helping me get to where I am today. My boys at Highline Cinematography, DNT Designs, and yeah, I got to get it off the side of the car, but we're running Speed Factory now, and I had last season Speed Factory set, and it was still digging. So I mean, all those guys helped me get where I am today.
Great. Well, great run. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, man, I look forward to it.
All right, great.
Well, that's going to wrap us up for week number 2 here at Lincoln Speedway. Mason Hannigan comes out on top. He has a great run. We didn't have anybody leading wire to wire. We had racing throughout the pack. We were on a little tighter racetrack this weekend, and I think that made some changes. But hey, No Limit is part of the National Auto Racing Club. And if you're not familiar with National Auto Racing Club, you should get familiar. This league is right now by invitation only, but later in the year will be opening up to everyone for a league starting at the beginning of the year. And we run both dirt and pavement within National Auto Racing Club. As far as we're concerned, National Auto Racing Club is the biggest dirt iRacing league, and we've even expanded to Asphalt Oval with a Monday Night NASCAR League. We're a mutual respect first model, and we enjoy coming out and having fun. So if you're interested, visit narcleague.net, www.narcleague.net. Join our Discord, get to know people. We're towards the end of a season in our regular leagues right now, so not a lot open to join, but come get to know everybody and be ready to join us later. Any closing words, Christian, as we get ready to wrap up here?
Well, Bruce, I think, again, tonight, going back to that very first segment, opportunity and patience. And I think you saw some guys tonight take advantage of the opportunity. Mason Hannigan come in, putting up a win on the board, and really putting in an excellent points night. Great racing all night, and really taking advantage of the opportunity. And I think you saw a little bit of the patient side as well. We had a number of cautions, some elbows up racing on a tight bull ring of a track, and some guys maybe losing a little bit of that patience kind of thing on track. But overall, excellent racing, side by side all night. Thank the crew for putting together such a great track, and I think it's bodes well for the races to come.
I
Back
agree,
up to you,
Christian.
Bruce.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. I appreciate you spending some time down in the pits, getting dirty, hanging out in the heat while we are up here in the air-conditioned booth, staying nice and clean. So, listen, No Limit is not just put on by a couple people. There are a ton of people behind it, and while it may be the brainchild and led by Bruce Klingon and Ted York, the competition team includes Greg Keppel and Chris Vinson and a name that I accidentally left off of here, Pat Cobb, all up in race control, managing a difficult qualifying procedure and a unique format to run here within the iRacing platform. On the production side, though, we can't do it without Christian McCartney down on pit road. Josh Borowski worked as a technical producer and helped us build the overlays that you're seeing today. Devon Mains and Ryan Wagenschutz also are media producers for the night who produced some of the media that you saw, not only on the broadcast, but if you haven't checked it out, facebook.com/narcleague. We have full race coverage of all of our events throughout the evening on the Narc League Facebook page, and Devin and Ryan both produce all the media for that as well. So thanks a lot for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you. This is a very difficult production to put on, and the next 3 weeks and this week included are very much learning experiences for us. So we're doing our best to find a way to make this production be top line and exactly what everybody's looking for, and we hope you enjoyed it tonight, even despite some of the little hiccups we had. So appreciate you for coming out. For all the team here at School of Sim Racing, eSports Racing Network, and National Auto Racing Club, we appreciate your patronage, and check out our offerings as well as the SimRat Marketplace offerings, and we hope to see you again when the dust settles.